Lajos Portisch was born in 1937, and so although he was only 2 years younger than Bent Larsen, for reasons that are not completely clear, his development was a little bit more modest in his early years. He didn't become a grandmaster until the early 1960s, but Lajos Portisch was a very serious man and a serious chess player. He was a guy who once looked at Bobby Fischer, and when Bobby Fischer said, "Is it true you study 8 hours a day?" And Lajos, he said to Bobby, and Bobby, I should say, that Lajos thought it was completely normal to study 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day, 7 days a week for decades. And he would often travel to tournaments with his little black notebook. And that notebook never left his sight. In the days before there was ChessBase, before there were computer engines, that was all his special home-cooked analysis. And although he started slowly, he evolved as a player. And like Larsen in 1964, that was the first time he qualified for the candidates. But he would be a candidate for pretty much, or have a say in it, for over the next 2 decades. Speaking of Larsen's chess career, though, I would have to say his biggest accomplishment was not as an individual player, but as a member of the Hungarian team. Between 1952 and 1992, the Soviet Union / Russia won every single chess Olympiad held every 2 years, with but one exception. And that was in 1978, and it was this nation of Hungary with 10 million people. The Soviet Union just dwarfed it, and they had many more resources and strong players. But that was the golden age for Hungary, and they won the gold medals with Lajos Portisch on first board, and then 2 years later they tied for first, albeit they lost on tiebreak. Portisch didn't have as much a career, at least in the English language, as a writer, but I recall when I was a youngster purchasing the book How to Open a Chess Game by 7 grandmasters, and one of those grandmasters was Lajos Portisch. And his chapter was written primarily for players about 1,600 to 2,300, and I happened to be in that rating range at the time, and I thought that book was just like gold. And to sum it up, the essence of his chapter was that for players of that level, the most important thing is just to reach a playable position, whereas most opening books all said white to play and win or black to play and win, and the idea was to try to knock out your opponent as quickly as possible. He just wanted to go for solid, time-tested systems and allow the student to concentrate on other things. And so I wish Lajos maybe had written more, but he also wrote another good book on the Roy Lopez and his experiences from the black position. Lajos was not as sociable a person, at least to my knowledge, as Bent Larsen, but he was very friendly at all the tournaments, and he, was a very good guy, a very well-respected competitor, and he's another guy who will be remembered as long as chess is played.
I started chess, unfortunately, rather late. I was 11 or perhaps 12, not quite 12 years. We got a chess set for a Christmas present with my younger brother from our parents, and that's how I started. My first real good chess book, Pachman. Pachman was a Czech grandmaster, and he wrote many good, useful chess books, and somehow, after a few years, I found the chess book of Pachman's. And I studied the Nimzowitsch games. Nimzowitsch was a great chess player of the past, and I studied his games very carefully. But my development was very slow, unfortunately, because of that time, and because it was a small town when I was born. I am almost a musician. Before I started chess, I had to play on the violin. I have to work on the violin every day from the very, very early childhood. But then chess entered my life, and then I didn't like to exercise so much on the violin, so I thought chess is more easy. I am happy that I learned the music, so when I started to take singing lessons, I already knew what it is all about. I don't like to be called grandmaster because there are so many grandmasters now in the world that this means nothing. Do you know perhaps that when the grandmaster title was used for the first time in chess circles after the Second World War in 40, I think it was in 46, and there were only 5 or 6 so-called grandmasters pointed out, really the best players of the world. At the moment, I really don't know how many grandmasters are. So I don't want to be called Grandmaster Portisch. So that's what I'm saying. So you just call me Lajos. I was second and third together with Korchnoi in the world rating list behind Karpov. That was my highest ranking. It was probably in the 70s, from 72 up to 78 in Hungary. I mean, we won the chess Olympiad in Havana. And I was at that time at my peak. So, but I never had a chance to play a match for the World Championship. I was very close, but I missed my chances. I was twice in the semi-final. Well, of course, the most exciting moment, the candidates matches were, of course, the most excited moments of my chess career. Sometimes I missed my chances. Probably I might have reached the candidates final. But unfortunately, I committed sometimes big mistakes, choosing not the best second, for example. My most favorable tournament was in San Antonio, again, America, in 72. I beat Karpov in that tournament for the first time in my life, but he was still very young, we have to admit. But still, that was a tie, but I should have been pointed out as a winner because the Belgian system, well, if you don't know what it is, you better look after it. But it is not used any longer. But at that time, it was the only system to decide the tie. But it was not used, so I don't know why. It's very important because it was organized by the fried chicken company. And a big problem, and I am very, very well known of that, but it sounds like a joke, but it is true. I do not eat, I do not eat anything that's able to fly. So I do not eat chicken. I hate that animal. I really would like to talk about Bobby Fischer because we had very good, we were almost friends, if I might say. You know, friendship with him, it was not so easy. But still, I am very proud of that. When he was here in Hungary, we very often went to movie very much, Bobby Fischer. Unfortunately, I was never able to beat him. Only once I had a winning position, but I missed in time pressure. But I never could beat him. We went to Turkish baths, yes. He loved Turkish baths very much, so we always went to Turkish baths and to movies almost at least once a week. Bobby Fischer was the greatest chess player at all times. Thank you very much really for the induction, and I'm very honored to be there with other names, other grand chess players like that. So to me, it's a big honor.
Thank you. So Grandmaster Lajos Portisch's plaque states, Lajos Portisch was one of the strongest players in the world for over 2 decades, participating in 12 Interzonals from 1962 to 1993. An 8-time candidate, he twice reached the semifinals of the World Championship. Portisch won numerous important competitions during his career, including, as we just heard, San Antonio in 1972, where he tied for first with Tigran Petrosian and Anatoly Karpov, defeating the latter in their individual encounter. He represented his country in 20 chess Olympiads, winning 6 team medals, including gold in 78, and 5 individual medals. Portisch played a second a record 260 Olympiad games with a lifetime winning percentage of 68%. Besides being a great chess player, he tells us he was also a great opera singer. On behalf of the World Chess Hall of Fame, it is my honor to induct Grandmaster Lajos Portisch.